before we talk about pip and packages and the Python package index and all those things, let's just sketch out our app as far as we can take it, and then we'll bring in the packages. So we're going to get started, as always, by writing a program.py file. And let's also start this time by defining a main method that's going to be sort of the top level method to be called here, right? Remember, this is not a Python convention. This is just a Michael convention. So we're going to have to do things like, I'll just sketch out in comments, like print the header. And then the next thing we'll have to do maybe is get HTML from web. So we're going to download the HTML. Then we're going to have to parse the HTML. And we'll have to display the forecast. And at some point, I suppose, we're also going to need to actually get the location. So we'll say get zip code from user. Okay, so these are the kind of the steps, and you can see there's a little warning. That's because there's actually nothing happening in this method. Let's just do a print hello from main really quick. Now recall, if I run this, there's no run configuration, so I'll make one by right-clicking and say run program. That nothing happens. Our little print statement doesn't show up, and that's because we have to call main. And we saw that this really is not the right way to do it. If somebody wants to reuse this module, this script, if they import it, this is always going to run our app. So we saw that there was that convention. We say if under name equals under main, then we would run our main method. This is so common that PyCharm has what's called live templates. So I can come over here and you can see that there's main, this is the method I wrote, but then there's this main which is actually got some code here, and if I just hit tab, it actually auto expands out here. So this is one of the live templates. I'll pull those up really quick. You can see there's actually a ton of live templates here that you can use. Here's the one that we're running, but for all sorts of areas, not just Python, but SQL and Django and so on. So let's go ahead and use our main bit here, and in that case, we're going to call main. So now our job, let's verify it runs, it still does. Now our job is to actually start writing these methods and drop this bit. So we're going to print the header. So we'll just say, call a method print the header, or print header, however you want to call it. And let's put this down below, like so. And remember, all of our headers look something like this. And here it says weather app centered usually, and a final new line. So perfect, that's solved. The next thing we want to do is get the zip code from the user. So we can say zip. That's not really exactly what we want to say, but let me just start this way for a moment. Input, we'll say, what zip code do you want the weather for? And let's give them a little hint. Let's say like 97201 as an example. Now notice there's a small warning here. We have a little problem with zip. There's actually two warnings. One is that we're not using it, but the more important warning, the not using it part's going to go away, is that this shadows the built-in name called zip. Zip is a built-in function that does kind of MapReduce-like stuff, and this is overriding, basically hiding the zip function for the rest of this method. So let's change this. Just want you to be aware that those types of things can happen. So let's change this to code. Now there's still a warning, but it's just that we haven't used it yet, so that's not a big deal. And the last part is to get the HTML from the web. And we need to go talk about where on the web we're going to get this. But let's just do a print out of the code really quick just to make sure everything's hanging together. So what's your zip code? It's 01010, 5 digits. Perfect. Everything's working fine, except for we now need to go get some HTML off the web.